What is this deity that unites all Masons, that governs this brotherhood of men, that allows them to remain united while keeping the masses divided and conquered? Deity associated with Freemasonry has been known as the great architect of the universe. Now, what you're looking at on the top left is the Queen of Heaven, and the dove would be equivalent of the North Pole in Egyptian cosmology, Mayan cosmology, ancient flat earth cosmology. That dove would be the all-seeing eye, Polaris, the star at the top of the Christmas tree. This is all simple cosmology. Now, you will notice that at the center of the Masonic cosmology there below, you have a G symbolizing God. But whose God? Which God? Now, before we get into that, you can see that there's a corona shooting from that G, just like it is from the dove, because this cosmology we're dealing with right now parallels the cosmology associated with the ancient world. It's the oldest, most accurate cosmology. And the checkered and square plane you see in the Masonic cosmos is equivalent to Geb in Egyptian cosmology, symbolizing the unknown ends of the earth plane. You see, there's no recorded ends to the earth, and there's no edge that you can fall off of. When you understand the concept of the earth, you realize, like Nikola Tesla said, it's just a realm. The arch and the plane is Nut and Geb. There's so much in place to hide the true nature of where we are, but the magical aspect of Earth is being hidden behind these secret societies. They're only thieves. What everyone once knew in the ancient world was taken away at a certain point, and now it's resurfacing under what we call the flat Earth awakening. Everyone in power that you've ever known on every continent was associated with Freemasonry some kind of way. Freemasonry itself is a religion. The religion of Freemasonry goes above your personal religion. One thing about Freemasonry most people don't know is that Freemasonry does require you to have a belief in a God, but it also requires for you not to put that belief, personal belief, above your oath to your Masonic brotherhood. So all of these different deities and diversity amongst the different Masons are welcome and needed, but they all can discuss them just like government sit down at table and sip tea, but the soldiers go to war and blow each other to smithereens. So when the United States is sitting at a table with so-called North Korea, understand that it's all a matrix created from the top down. And just like football games, basketball games are all rigged, they know who's going to win every year. Such as war, people dying. They know how many soldiers they want dead. These countries agree on this based on population control. The wars are created. All of the governments of the world work together. So no matter what continent you're on, they're going to give you that G word, that God. But it's going to be a synthetic form to disconnect you from reality and put you in that matrix of control based on the cosmology that they are hiding. On a massive scale, humanity is divided by deities, religions, traditions, what we call cultures. And what we see is that where we're divided on every aspect with these differences, the secret society of Masons embrace these differences and use them as camaraderie to build a brotherhood, and they have something that connects them all that is greater than any of their personal beliefs or even their cultures, because to be a Mason is to be in a unique culture yourself. So when you say secret society, understand that Masons are a secret society, and a society is a whole entire different culture with its set of values, its own religion and its own deity that bonds that society and excludes anyone else from outside that society. So when we deal with the secret society of Masons, we must realize that this society have been around for thousands of years, brothers and sisters, just like any other society like Rome or Greece. But the thing about this society is it's a very small and efficient society, and wherever it finds itself seeding chaos and division and dominating that area as a small fashion that you can't necessarily touch, that give you puppets on the surface. The only two things that can exist in Midgard or Earth Heart, based on us being in a duat, is balance and non-balance. Non-balance is equivalent to chaos, and balance would be equivalent to the golden age, or what became the Garden of Eden before they bit from the tree of life. Now understand that that whole garden story was to take away balance. That's why the tree of life, which is nothing but the balance and scales, was desecrated in the garden. And Ma'at was placed with an evil talking serpent, which became the devil, but was always the diva in the old world and still is in the Eastern world today. All right. The trident is the balancing scales of the diva, the mother goddess. Mother Nature was personified in the ancient world, but was desecrated in the Western world as the devil. So the one who subconsciously you were in fear of, and they gave a tail and the horns and the trident, these things were revered in the ancient world as symbols of balance. So the deity you ended up worshiping is the very reason you out of balance. The gods we serve today don't serve us. They serve the ones who indoctrinated us with those gods. So when we pray, we're being preyed upon. Balance was cursed to create this matrix we in today. And when they told you civilization began, that's when civilization ended. We went from a guarding type, vegan type human to a hunting human that's on a meat-based diet and a diet that goes against nature. We had a symbiotic relationship with the plants, and any medical expert will tell you that the human body wasn't created to digest meat. By us being at the top of nature's food chain, once we began to hunt, we threw everything out of balance. Now everything preys and predates each other. But we can restore the pyramid and take this thing back to the golden age. We can literally do that, and it won't take long. So the goddesses had rules against hunting, but as desecration, some of the early European goddesses, they gave the archbow to and put those goddesses over hunting to say that it's now okay to hunt the animals. The creator they give us, this dumb, clumsy, heliocentric creator that creates this cosmos and allows dominion over things that it created in this capitalistic type structure. This is the God of their creation. They was able to achieve this world based on changing the dialectic and the chemistry of the earth. And a lot of that got to do with, it goes real deep, the biology of the earth and how every continent depends on its yearly flood. The cosmological connection we had to the earth became the Noah's flood and all of these mythological flood stories based on us being in cities today. We don't depend on the yearly floods of our continents. Every continent have an umbilical cord that's being fed the water systems. For example, United States would be the Mississippi River, Africa, the Nile River, South America, the Amazon. All of these major rivers run through these continents. Now, these major rivers feed all of these continents, and it's by design. Okay, but what happened over time with the creations of cities, we've been disconnected with the earth. We build against nature. Also, the fact that us not depending on those yearly floods, especially. Now, some countries do, like India and a couple of more, but they trying to go and westernize those now and dam everything up. This is why the U.S. don't depend on a yearly flood anymore. Every continent had a flood story, but these things became myth. This is microcosm, macrocosm. That was a flood story in the creation of the cosmos. There's a flood every year, that flood every continent for fertility. And every continent participate in these rituals, but American participate in these rituals in different ways during those times. Our customs and traditions hide these truths, as well as the rest of the world too. But when you look at theirs, you can see the ancient remnant as bright as day. You still can see that these people still relying on this flood for their entire economy. For example, India and the Amazon, and many more, even the Nile. Okay, this is what makes the land fertile, and this is a lot of breeding during these times too, because when we're doing good, we reproduce. So this is all linked to the goddess and fertility and the flooding in the creation story on a macrocosm, which happens every year on every continent on a microcosm. All of this connects us to the cosmological aspect which been hidden in mythology. Just because the goddess was cursed in the Garden of Eden, Eve is even, balance. He held the key to the balance. Now we are ruled under by male patriarchs, brotherhoods like Freemasons who hide the balance. But in secret, they worship the goddess, just like the Pope worshiped the Madonna. You have no balance because you only have the male masculine aspect. And when you have a bunch of men worshiping the man God, the balance is gone. You come from your mother's womb. She was your first teacher. Women make up the most number of teachers today, and that's why we give them apples to desecrate them, remind them how dumb they was in this mythological garden. Understand what I'm telling you here today. The women was written out of cosmology because they are the black hole that it all come from on the macrocosm. We still come from those black holes on the microcosm. Everybody come from the womb of a woman. So we got to understand how deep this is and how significant it was for them to take the woman role from the cosmology. Women are desecrated the most today, not only in mythology, but in society. They want to link all of this and label it feminism. But there's two different things going on. You must understand it's a spiritual war against the divine feminine and Mother Earth. The feminine role is being hijacked by feminine males, and the whole transsexuals thing is linked to the transhuman thing. Now, I'm not judging anybody for their sexuality because everyone that's inflicted with this is not their fault. It's a fact that these things were seeded in our society by the elite. Now, when you look at this Masonic art on the bottom left and you see the G, that's representative of the G spot of the macrocosm, the divine womb. And that's the North Pole energy. If you think of how a pineapple stalk splits the entire fruit from the center, from the top down, and the fruit emanates from that stalk all around it, making a 360, all the way out to the fleshy skin on the outside of it. But it's all being supported by the center stalk and being fed with nutrients from the stalk. That's what we think about at the center of a tent, where that whole arc structure is being supported by that one pole in the middle. And the whole tent is being casted, in other words, emanates itself from that center pole, just like everything being fed from that invisible North Pole, magnetic pole, the sun and moon. Whatever this invisible force is, it stands at the North Pole and balances the scales, sun and moon, continuing them on an infinite circuit. And this is Ma'at. She's personified by a tree, because a tree is a trinity. When you talk about roots, trunk, branches, just like a family, all right, mama, father, children, all right, would be the branches, the expansion. So microcosm, macrocosm, as above, so below. This is what Masons are hiding. See, everything we do in life is ritual, linking us to macrocosm. All of this is the Holy Trinity, the tree of life, which is the trio of life, the string theory. You are your own cosmos that's already in the womb of your mother. The sperm is the activator. Sperm is the spark, the electricity which travels linear. And that activates the consciousness